Hi guys. Well, we are continuing on with our tour de la lore, I guess, of all of this stuff chocked full of information here in our database. So, as I said in the video prior, this entire video is dedicated to just me reading through all of this stuff. So, if that is not something that is exciting for you or not something that you're interested in experiencing through me, by all means skip over to the next video. I should definitely be able to jump back into the action then to the next video just fine, so thank you either way. I want to start though by going through like all of like the city and surrounding area stuff, just because I think it's important to get all the geographical lore. Wind farms. Wind farms in the Badlands, property of Night City, once played a major role in the city's power generation before gradually falling into despair over the years. Night City itself. The City of Dreams was founded in the 1990s by visionary industrialist Richard Knight. When the world of the late 20th century plunged into chaos, Knight envisioned a modern metropolis free of crime, poverty, and corruption. Corporate partners Arasaka, EBM, and Petrochem helped him realize his vision, investigating in the foundation of what would become the Free City of Night City. The city would develop into a haven for young idealists and a beacon for others who sought to fulfill their own dreams. And although Richard Knight fell to assassins and many new generations seeking fame, fortune, and freedom have suffered their own series of setbacks, the city's legendary status endures today. Night City has it all, from the monumental skyscrapers of industry-leading megacorporations to the luxury villas of world-renowned stars, to the lawless neighborhoods where war is waged every day. You will stumble across mercenaries, gangs, and famous rockers, but also junkies, bums, and even cyber psychos. You will stand in the shadow of colossal mega buildings and get lost in the maze of streets, alleys, and markets. You will make your dreams come true or die trying. Let's talk about the districts. The Badlands. If you think Night City is dangerous, just wait till you get to the Badlands. The area bordering the city to the east and south are actually 8 different zones that vary in character and landscape. There's the trailer park of Red Peaks, the plains of Rocky Ridge, and desert of Sierra Sonora stretching out to the east, whose landfill emits a stench that's often blown all the way into the city. Yeah, I've been in that landfill. That was tough walking around. Saturated with chemicals and acid rain, nothing will ever grow again in this region of the Badlands. Anyone who has to cross this area does it quickly, and if they're smart, with an armed escort in case they run into wraiths, a gang made up of exiled nomads. You could compare them to vultures, though at least vultures have the decency to wait until their prey is dead. The South points a much less apocalyptic picture, with Biotechnica's protein farms and the Jackson Plains power plant. Ooh, I'm interested in seeing that, which I'm sure we will. A trip to the neighboring lake of Laguna Bend at sunset is the most picturesque view of the Badlands has to offer. Just make sure you don't touch the water. Oh, interesting. There's a saying that everyone should visit the Badlands at least once in their lives. Sounds like something the Wraiths would say. City Center. If you stand in the middle of Corporal Plaza and observe what's around you, all the breathtaking mega buildings, office blocks, bars, clubs, architectural wonders, and dazzling neon signs, it's hard to believe that only a few decades ago the area looked like a smoldering battlefield in the aftermath of the Fourth Corporate War and the nuclear attack on Arasaka Tower. As anyone with a pair of optics can see, City Center was fully rebuilt, surpassing even its former glory with more modern and cutting-edge architecture. It serves one purpose, and one purpose only, to flaunt the city's economic power and prove that Night City is freer than ever before. Haywood. Haywood is a district of contradictions. The northern part that borders the city center is modern and well-kept, proud of its stunning mega buildings, parks, and places that are open to the public. But all you have to do is go a few blocks southeast and the scenery starts to change dramatically. This part of Haywood is much poorer and more dangerous. The buildings are smaller and the streets are controlled by the Valentinos and the 6th Street Gang. If you know your place and keep your head down, Haywood isn't really so bad. After all, it's where most of Night City sleeps. If you're not a corpo and you score an apartment in the richer part of the district, then you've just won the lottery. Otherwise, just be happy you live in Haywood. In Night City, things could always be worse. Santo Domingo. Santo Domingo is one of Night City's oldest districts. Luckily, its location meant it avoided the worst damage from the Fourth Corporate War. Though the tens of thousands of Night citizens deprived of their homes still built provisional camps and settlements. Today, no trace of them remains. Santo Domingo has instead become an industrial hub with an abundance of enterprises and manufacturing and power plants. Corporations are in a constant battle over influence in the district. Real estate changes hands, new businesses pop up, and old businesses fall. Meanwhile, construction sites are guarded by combat troops guarding corporate property and secrets, though often they serve as law enforcement in cases when a company shuts down and fires all its staff, mostly around Rancho Coronado, raising the risk of riots. Westbrook. A fair amount of citizens firmly believe that Westbrook is the best district to live in. After all, that's where all the richest and most influential people of Night City live, including the picturesquely situated North Oak, probably the most beautiful neighborhood in the city. Charter Hill has its charm, too, home to ambitious and enterprising corpos who are about halfway up their career ladder. Last but not least, Japantown is widely known as Night City's party district. Yes, indeed, Westbrook is where everyone wants to be. But it wasn't always like that. Over 50 years ago, after the nuclear attack on Arasaka in 2023, the part of Westbrook next to city center sustained serious damage. The bomb's earthquake completely wiped out Japantown's high-rises, leaving behind ghostly, crooked skeletons looming over the district for the next 2 decades. Charter Hill was inundated with refugees. Even North Oak saw ramshackle huts and tents hastily put on its slopes. Luckily, by the 40s, the great restoration of Night City was already underway. The ruins of mega buildings were removed, replaced by shiny monoliths from predominantly Asian corporations, returning Japantown to its former glory. Charter Hill was also cleaned up and soon saw new homes for corporate employees. The refugee and homeless encampments in North Oak lasted for much longer, remaining a sore sight for the city's authorities. Crime levels there beat the city records, for a time even soaring above those of the combat zone. Eventually, the area was brought to order with the help of mercenaries, and shortly after it became the North Oak we know today, the most exclusive and secure area of Night City. Watson. Watson was supposed to be the beating heart of Night City. A few decades ago, Japanese zaibatsus invested billions of euro dollars in skyscrapers, nightclubs, the med center, even industry in the northern area, all intended to make the district self-sufficient and prosperous, but everything changed when Arasaka returned to the city after the Unification War. The corporation steamrolled all of its competitors, and without a stable financial sector, Watson caved in on itself. Jobs in the North Side Industrial District completely evaporated, leaving people out in the street, allowing Arasaka to buy up all the now cheap real estate. Turns out the move was calculated. Arasaka needed port access. Today, Watson is one of Night City's poorest districts, inhabited mainly by workers in Northside earning ennies. Subdistricts. Here we go. The Arasaka Waterfront. When it comes to the waterfront, it's pretty simple. Either you're from Arasaka, or you should leave the area. The megacorporation has made the waterfront its logistical hub. According to official figures, every month hundreds of shipments are inspected and stored in automated warehouses, then shipped all over the country. What's in those shipments and what really goes on at the waterfront is unknown. I'm pretty sure that V is going to get over there at some point and find out. The Arasaka waterfront is surrounded by a reinforced wall equipped with extra security measures. Officially, it's there to protect Arasaka's interests against gangs, scavengers, nosy reporters, and the ordinary residents of Watson who might accidentally get lost. But is that the real reason? Arroyo. When are they going to finish Arroyo? Residents like to joke about their district. For many, it seems like a never-ending construction site, with buildings being bulldozed overnight to make way for new ones that same morning. Arroyo currently hosts a power plant, a fully automated factory, a logistics center, and a gigantic landfill. Arroyo's no Pacifica, but investments has been shaky. Driving through, you'll see scores of decrepit or unfinished buildings, but just because the factories and warehouses are closed doesn't mean they're abandoned. Many of them serve as hideouts for the 6th Street gang. Perhaps then it isn't strange that whatever is still owned by Arasaka or Petrochem is carefully guarded by corporate military squads. Charter Hill. Charter Hill is known as a comfortable and relatively safe neighborhood for those who can afford it. It was rebuilt in the 40s during the Reconstruction. The new and swanky Charter Hill quickly became a go-to for Night City's elites, at least until North Oak overtook it as the most luxurious neighborhood. Most of Charter Hill's homes are occupied by middle-ranking corpos who bang their heads against their desks by day and get slashed in bars by night. The other residents are made up of aspiring artists and entrepreneurs and any freelancer who makes enough to avoid renting a closet room in Little China or Wellsprings. Corporal Plaza. Rebuilt after the Fourth Corporate War, Corporal Plaza is one of the most iconic places in Night City today as a symbol of corporate prowess. Its Goliath skyscrapers and mega buildings are an economic show of force and prestige for corporations such as Arasaka and Militech, as well as proof of their inferiority complex. Corporal Plaza's main attraction is Memorial Park, a huge ring surrounding the corporate headquarters. The park is also a tribute to the countless victims of the Fourth Corporate War. Every day, the plaza is teeming with everyone from corpo suits to NCPD officers and armed to the teeth corpo security. More than anything, an indication that peace and order are not among Night City's natural qualities. Downtown. Downtown is one of the newest districts in Night City, having been rebuilt after the Arasaka headquarters bombing. If you buy a postcard in Night City, chances are it has a picture of downtown, with its sky-high office and apart buildings, corporate hotels, and exclusive restaurants. It all screams glamour and luxury. No matter where you turn, you'll see animated billboards and ads for bars, BD clubs, or love hotels. For those who have cash to spend, downtown is the beating heart of the city. But like all other districts, downtown also has darker side. After dusk, it's in sketchy alleyways, hotels, and bars, you can meet dealers offering synthetic drugs and illegal brain dances. Most places offering nighttime entertainment are also guarded by gang members, businessmen and criminals, prestige and fraud, power and brute strength. These are all two sides of the same coin, called downtown. The Glen. Wow, I like the style of these guys. Rewind a few decades back, and Night City Council was on its knees begging corporations to help rebuild the city. The Glen became home to the new City Hall. It's no surprise, then, that the Glen feels much safer and organized than other districts, with millions of eddies invested on every corner. Reconciliation Park promises a literal breath of fresh air, while the elegance of the surrounding architecture reminds you that the bustle of Night City is never out of reach. City Hall is the main attraction of the Glen and the seat of the city's mayor, but venture away from the tidiness and sophistication, and you'll quickly start noticing rundown buildings and the menacing faces of the Valentinos and the 6th Street Gang. You won't get that in tourist guides. Still, the very fact that there's such a drastic social and economic difference of only a few blocks away from City Hall says a lot about how the city is run. Japantown. Given its popularity with tourists, it's no wonder Japantown feels like it's constantly buzzing with life. Crowds occupy the local bars, upscale restaurants, arcades, the famous Cherry Blossom Market, and especially the Shinto Shrine. That's a must-see if you're in the area. Ooh, I kind of want to take a look at the Shinto Shrine. Every corner holds a luxurious backdrop for a perfect photo op. Japantown doesn't disappoint. So what's the catch, you might ask? Japantown can be expensive, especially its nighttime attractions. Corpos with fat cred chips come here to play hard after a hard day's work with cash liquid tourists right behind them. Local braindance clubs, casinos, and bars are never short on customers. Just watch out for the tiger claws. They rule Japantown. Kabuki. Once upon a time, Kabuki touted an impressive cluster of corporate medical office buildings. Located right next to the famous Med Center, Kabuki prided itself for a reputation on being a tidy, elegant district. That is, until Arasaka swallowed up every last competitor. Ever since then, Kabuki, not counting Pacifica, is known as the poorest district of Night City. But Kabuki is far from empty. An influx of Chinese immigrants have turned Kabuki's winding streets into a lively bazaar where one can find almost anything for a fraction of the market rate. At night, the Chinese lanterns and flickering neons light up the stalls of Night City's biggest black markets for implants, organs, drugs, stolen prototypes, steroids, viruses, and malware XBDs. You name it, Kabuki will have it. The district is heavily crowded, save for its northern stretches where abandoned warehouses and disused factories have become occupied by gangers and outcasts of all stripes and colors. Kabuki is largely controlled by the Tiger Claws. Occasionally you might also spot Maelstrom. Some local gangs thrive, such as the Mox, who run the most popular braindance club in the city, Lizzys Bar. Little China. In the 40s, this part of Watson aspired to be the next city center. Corps invested heavily in the area, putting up towers and cutting-edge clinics such as the Med Center. That's where you slap down your cred ship for implants. That is, if you wanted to get them legally. But soon enough, this neighborhood became populated with immigrants, mostly from China, hence the name. Over the next few decades, the district became increasingly more populated and diverged from its original plans. Today, Little China is considered a poor district, but its food, smells, neon lights, tucked away little shops, and overall atmosphere draws the crowds. Even low-ranking corpos drop in to gamble and put Euro bills into thongs. The sight of suits strolling past the homeless also shouldn't take anyone here by surprise. The North Side Industrial District, or the NID. The North Side Industrial District was once an important area of Watson, with factories employing thousands of night citizens. Today, it feels neglected and devoid of life. Most of the factories shut down, parts of buildings were damaged by earthquakes, and property developments left unfinished. The center of the NID is divided by a row of towering apartment buildings purposely constructed to shield the wealthy from a pretty depressing view. They're occupied by mid-ranking workers that are still employed by the last remaining industries operating in the NID. With few prospects to cling to, these workers' only hope is that they don't close down, because outside of the NID, there's no future for them. As they say, you move to Northside, you'll die in Northside. Often that's just interpreted to mean you'll catch a stray bullet from one ubiquitous maelstormers. North Oak. North Oak is the newest district in Night City. It's also the richest. Wow, look at that picturesque view there. Freedom from poverty and gangs, now that's what you call luxury. It's hard to believe, but 50 years ago, this was just a rocky hill hemming the city in from the northeast. After the nuclear bomb went off at Arasaka Tower, almost 8,000 desperate night citizens moved to higher ground, putting up corrugated tin roofs and a la shantytown. Over the next few years, the hill became something of an independent district. Its poverty and duct-shaped houses, a grim reminder of the past. Finally, in the 50s, the Night City Council, sponsored by corporations, decided to do some spring cleaning, officially waging a war against crime. The North Oak slum was forcefully evacuated and bulldozed, only to boast the city's priciest real estate soon after. Today, North Oak houses the city's wealthiest elite, corpo execs, venture capitalists, actors, musicians living next door to their producers, and rock stars such as Carrie Eurodyne. There's that name again, Carrie Eurodyne. All of the North Oak is dotted with spacious villas featuring their own microclimates and manicured lawns. North Oak is the city's very own Elysium, and every Night City's dream neighborhood. The Rancho Coronado. Wow, look at all those houses. Some insist that Rancho Coronado is not a district of Night City, but in fact a little town situated in its edge. It could seem that way at first sight, with its identical townhouses reminiscent of the classic 20th century inner-city suburbs, quaint stores, bars, a park, school, and subway station. Sounds like the American dream, right? Well, that's exactly what the land and factory owners of Arroyo thought when they designed the neighborhood. Every building was intended for workers living near their respective plants. Corporations even made sure that Rancho Coronado had its own law enforcement since the NCPD couldn't be relied on. Rancho Coronado now mostly houses middle and higher-ranking corporate employees from nearby factories and offices who wanted to get away from the city. Residents from other districts like to joke that it resembles more of a hamster cage. Everyone in Rancho Coronado has everything they need in one place. You've got your wheel, your water, your food. What more could you ask for? Vista Del Rey. There is no need to sugarcoat it. Vista Del Rey is the worst part of Haywood, eaten alive by poverty and oppression. Gangs are the neighborhood's undisputed rulers, though the streets they rule over are often deserted. Fugitives or suspicious types hide in the shadows of mega buildings that have seen much better days. Now their run-done exteriors seem to scorn you as you pass them. It's no wonder, then, that Vista is a thorn in the side of the powers that be in neighboring districts like Corporal Plaza and North Oak. Corporate executives would happily forget about the squalor of Haywood if it weren't literally right on their doorstep. Every once in a while, rumors circulate that the city's authorities could take over and clean up Vista Del Rey. But who'll actually step up to the task? Wellsprings. They say Wellsprings is where you can find the average middle-class night citizen. They're not entirely wrong. Situated right next to the city center, the buildings are modern-looking, reminiscent of the city's overhaul after the Fourth Corporate War. But the further southeast you go, the more the architecture becomes more diminished, older, and often neglected. Homes aren't that expensive here. You can even score a 400-something square foot apartment for a decent price. In other words, Wellsprings is pretty stable until you find yourself in the eastern part of the district, where the houses look like they're about to fall apart and disturbing faces leer at you from broken windows. Valentino's graffiti covers the walls, but as long as you don't get in their way, they couldn't give less of a stuff about you. On the other hand, the scavengers to the south, well, let's just say if you got any ounce of sense in that skull, you won't find yourself there in the dark. Alright. Vendor hubs. Kabuki Roundabout. Despite its name, it's not just a place where cars go in circles, but a Chinese-inspired architectural gem that pays tribute to Kabuki's uniqueness. This is where old friends pick up where they left off over a bowl of ramen, I love ramen, and kids gawk at the newest braindance ads. This is where the second shift meets the third on its way to the NID, where black market trade goes on long into the early hours. Almost every corner of Kabuki Roundabout is occupied by street stalls with high-end brands sold at low prices. Urmlin Street. A little shopping street in Little China, Urmlin is a bright, noisy marketplace for all of your heart's desires. There you can get preem clothing, flashy cyberware, heavy weapons, the latest horrible venereal diseases, all depends on what you're looking for. The Badlands Dam. A multi-million euro-dollar undertaking, an industrial feat, 2 million hectoliters of toxic water, and hundreds of flooded homes. Welcome to the Badlands. When the dam was under construction, it was obvious there would also be a reservoir, which sounded great in theory. The townsfolk that put that piece of knowledge in the back of their heads and didn't stop to wonder why they needed a dam, why here of all places, and who was profiting from it. Spoiler alert, it wasn't the town's residents, and since losers don't get to write history, any memory of them and their tragedy evaporated from the collective consciousness as quickly as the morning dew on a hot summer's morning. Well, that's depressing. So, we did that. Job. Afterlife. As the old saying go, there is only one path in Night City worth walking, the one that leads to the afterlife. Once you make it here, sooner or later, everything else opens up to you. The Afterlife is an iconic bar where the who's who of mercs and first-rate fixers gather to kick back or conduct biz. It's also a major nerve center of the city. This is a place where the biggest deals get cut and the job rewards have the most zeros tacked on. Stop here to spot big names such as Rogue, Dexter Deshawn, not anymore, and that guy who drank with Morgan Blackhand once. Speaking of, it said Blackhand's ghost still wanders the bar, switching off the safeties of customers' holstered guns. Of course, it's probably best to check that out for yourself. That is, provided you've earned enough street cred to get you through the front door. V's Mega Building. Besides the 2,000 apartments identical to V's, this Watson Megablok also features luxury penthouses in its upper floors. Further down, you can find various service points, stores, market stalls, a gym, even a shooting range. To a certain extent, mega buildings are truly self-sufficient, self-contained ecosystems. Many of their long-term residents, especially netrunners, haven't stepped outside in years. Probably because it's way safer for them to just stay in the mega building. That's probably what I would end up doing, to be perfectly honest, if I lived in this world, is just stay in my mega building. Because I'd be just a coward like that. The Konpeki Plaza is Night City's most exclusive hotel, an architectural marvel created solely for the elite. This is where global financiers stay for business trips, where nobody bats an eyelid at the sight of two rival corpos having a drink, or a well-known politician going up to their room with a braindance star. Every square inch caters to luxury tastes and comes packed with the most decadent of entertainments, with just a hint of mystery to keep things exciting. Lizzys Bar. Once a third-rate brothel and sticky dive, today Lizzys Bar is the bread and butter of the Moxes. The club boasts high-quality brain dances to use in the comfort of specialized booths. I almost said specialized boobs. I almost thought that said boobs. You can also see a live show, have a drink, and show off your moves on the dance floor. In 2067, Lizzys Bar was a scene of a Joy Toys horrific murder, sparking riots among sex workers, eventually resulting in the gang known as the Mox. Rocky Ridge. It was supposed to measure up to Rancho Coronado, cozy, practical, self-sufficient, offering a roof over the head of the families of every worker building the nearby highway. Rocky Ridge was sold to people as a paradise, guaranteeing peace and quiet, but also just a stone's throw away from the big city and everything it had to offer. Unfortunately, and then it ended like most investments end in California. The construction became too expensive, and Rocky Ridge was no longer economically viable. From one day to the next, the construction sites were deserted, contractors lost their jobs, and the houses of Rocky Ridge became vacant. Today, the area is completely abandoned and almost entirely forgotten by Night City. Perfect for looters and the occasional band of Raffen Shiv. The old power plant, formerly owned by Electric Corporation, yes, that's a real formerly owned by Electric Corporation, yes, that's a real company, in Charter Hill and abandoned in mysterious circumstances, leaving the surrounding empty buildings unattended, but nothing in cities is truly empty, especially in a metropolis like Night City. The power plant was quickly overrun by gangs that need a lot of space, solid walls, and thick doors to make sure that whatever they're doing doesn't catch the attention of any passerby. That is going to be a really interesting place for V to visit. The Nomad Camps. The life of a nomad is one of constant motion, but although their camps are temporary, they're always designed with function, order, and comfort in mind. Setting up a new camp is a quick operation because everyone knows their responsibilities, working together like parts in a well-oiled machine. As the nomad Santiago once said, whenever we make camp, for a short while we become farmers again. And the earlier a farmer finishes his work, the sooner he cracks open a beer. To those who don't buy into the propaganda, nomads are known as hospitable folk. Still, it's better to signal your peaceful intentions from afar, as their camps are well protected. Fourth Wall. An established braindance studio with years of industry experience, Fourth Wall owns a large recording complex in Japantown. The studio has become famous for its controversial documentaries and reality shows scrolled using the latest braindance technologies. I'm wondering what they're doing with that cross or that crucifix there. I guess it's a cross because crucifix, I think, specifically has Jesus Christ on it. Okay. I think I'm done that. I did this. Let's do the fixers then. I think that's the last one. Wakakos Den. Wakako has an office in the back room of a pachinko parlor on Jig Street. By day, the parlor is relatively quiet, with biz picking up at night, but Wakakos Den is always an old-school oasis of calm, refined elegance. I did like her place a lot. And Mumar, El Capitan Reyes' place, which is just on the freeway. El Capitan has carved out a nice little place for himself by the Beltway in Rancho Coronado with a view onto the dam. It's a secluded place, ideal for making deals that require discretion. If there's something you need to discuss with Capitan in person, he'll probably want to meet you there. Okay. Cool. I think I have a little bit of time because I went through all of these. I think I might have some time to go through and I already went through all of these, even though this still says they're new. I think I have some time to try to go through like some of the weapons tabs. So I'll do that. I'm not sure if I'll do the vehicles, at least not in this video. I'm not sure, but we'll see. Because, well, there's a lot of vehicle stuff. I might do vehicles in a completely separate video, maybe. Weapons. The Militech M10AF Lexington. This is what we got from the shooting range, as a prize from the shooting range. The preferred pistol among Night City cops. Light, wieldy, and easy to recoil on the recoil, it's perfect for taking down enemies, without necessarily killing them on the spot. Thanks to its relatively small dimensions, the gun has also found a loyal following among those who prefer a concealed carry. The Lexington easily fits in a coat pocket or purse, and for design lovers, its classic 2030s frame remains stunning as ever. The Arasaka JKE X2 Kenshin. I think that's the one that I have, that I got from the Arasaka penthouse. This simple, unpretentious pistol is the pride and joy of Arasaka engineers. Kenshin is one of the most cutting-edge and deadliest machine pistols available in the market. Harness the power of lightning. The Kenshin's brute power first comes from generating electromagnetic tension, before releasing a lethal tungsten-tipped round that can penetrate the sturdiest armor. Like other guns of this class, it comes ready equipped with a holographic scope. Maybe this is not the gun that I got from Arasaka's penthouse. Kung Tao A22B Ciao. The smart gun market used to be an Arasaka-only affair, but that all changed when Kang Tao stepped in. The A22B Ciao is the Chinese answers to Arasaka's Yukimura, and you'd be forgiven for getting the two mixed up. As the gossip goes, both guns may have been designed by the same engineer, extracted from the Japanese core on Kang Tao's orders. Whatever the case may be, you can be sure the A22B Ciao is easy to use and reload. Once the last cartridge is used, the empty magazine is automatically discharged. Easy to use, practical, unless the empty mag hits an unsuspecting shooter in the foot, that is. The Tsunami Nu. Tsunami Defense Systems is known best for its elite and dizzyingly expensive sniper rifles, but more of the Japanese company's products are beginning to gain traction on Night City's streets. Take their flagship pistol, the Nu, for example. Unlike the Ashura or Nekomata, the Nu's design is not founded on any bleeding-edge technologies, but what it lacks in innovation, it makes up for workmanship. Elegant, reliable, and deadly, the Nu is the unchallenged leader of the pistol market. The only debatable flaw is a size that can prove difficult to conceal. Still, who would ever want to hide such a masterpiece? The Mandalorian Overture. The Malorian Overture. A .42 caliber 6-shot semi-automatic double-action power class revolver crafted with the classic Malorian traits. Heavy, reliable, and packed with firepower. I still want to call this the Mandalorian Overture. Although Malorian has been faring worse on the market than its competitors in recent years, the Overture is still an iconic, high-quality weapon that can be found in the streets. This is a really cool design. I love that. It's super slick. The Dara Polytechnic Dr. 5 Nova. Or DR5 Nova. The Nova is a traditional revolver that offers substantial firepower at a reasonable price. Its classic cylinder harkens back to the times of the Wild West, and while the Nova is prone to failure, it's also easy to fix thanks to its simple design and construction. It can be found in NCPD weapon lockers, in small-time corporate arsenals, tucked in the belts of gang goons, and stowed in women's handbags. In other words, everyone uses it. Dara Polytechnic DR12 Quasar. The Quasar is perhaps the most distinctive weapon you can find in Night City. It features an unusual angular frame, classic disc magazine, and one-of-a-kind technology. After all, the Quasar is an electromagnetic gun. The barrel holds 4 electrically charged shafts, which in combination with the bullet form opposing electromagnetic poles. The resulting force releases the bullet at lightning speed. A shot from the unassuming Quasar can even pierce armored vehicles and bulletproof vests. Yeesh. The Nakota D5 Copperhead. Once upon a time, in the second half of the 20th century, the world's most popular assault rifle was the AK-47, also commonly known as the Kalashnikov, in honor of its inventor. Today, these rifles can only be found in museums, as their market niche was replaced by the Nakota Copperhead. This mass-produced assault rifle sticks to the basics of functionality and reliability. There's no finesse or ingenuity to fall in love with, but many people find its dependable stopping power an endearing trait. The Nakota D5 Sidewinder. The Sidewinder is the younger but wiser brother to the Copperhead. Based on the same frame, Nakota engineers finally crafted their own smart class rifle, but to say this gun is truly smart is a certain overreach. The Sidewinder doesn't try to hide what it is, and it's clear it can't stand toe-to-toe with its counterpart from Arasaka, Militech, and Kang Tao. Yes, it offers aim assist, yes, it aids in battlefield orientation, but anyone who has ever wielded a true top-shelf smart rifle can tell you the difference in quality is obvious. Still, despite its competitive shortcomings, the Sidewinder and its approachable price tag have chiseled out a stable niche for Nakota in the smart weaponry market. The Militech M251S Ajax. In less turbulent times, the name Ajax would more likely be associated with the Greek hero of legend, a European soccer club, or a household cleaning product. That's true. Or a household cleaning product. For the residents of Night City, Ajax brings to mind only one thing: Militech's assault rifle. Its engineers made no attempt to reinvent the wheel, but only to design a durable, reliable weapon that wouldn't require months of training or high-end combat cyberware to use it. Ultimately, the engineers' vision has been realized. Their creation has become the assault of choice for soldiers across the globe. The Tetronica SPT-32 Grad. Around the turn of the 21st century, the arms industry faced a pressing challenge. Many popular sniper rifles were increasingly proving ineffective against people heavily modified with cyberware. A shot that would once kill an ordinary person now makes a dent. The world required a new generation of sniper rifles. The first of this new wave was the Soviet-made SPT-32 Grad. Considered by many to be the most powerful sniper on the market. It may not possess the same dedication to detail as its counterparts from Arasaka or Militech, but in the hands of a well-trained sharpshooter who doesn't rely on weapon-assisted wind readings, The Grad is a true devastating force. No wall will stop it from hitting its target. Oh my goodness. The Constitutional Arms M203A Tactician. You'll meet plenty of these in Night City. Chances are even your next door neighbor keeps one under their couch just in case. In spite of its age, it's still used by the NCPD as well as a number of gangs. It's not hard to see why the Tactician is so widely admired. It's cheap, simple, and user-friendly weapon that can also deal an impressive amount of damage. Additional features? None. Sometimes simpler is better. Why have tagliatelle à la touffe when you can have mac and cheese? What? I'm more of a tagliatelle à la truffe person myself. But I mean, mac and cheese is still good. I'm not knocking the mac and cheese. Rostovik DB2 Satera. The Satera is an unusual breed, both because of its bizarre appearance and its unconventional technological foundation. Instead of firing ordinary buckshot, this electromag shotgun launches small razor-sharp steel spikes. Wow. Critics argue that Satara heaviness and bulkiness make it unreasonably inconvenient for practical use. Its advocates, however, point out that the Serbian shotgun is undeterred by walls. MaxTac officers belong to the latter group. After many trials in the field, the Satara has proved consistently effective at bringing down even the most heavily chromed cyber psychos. The Ropstovik DB4 IGLA, or IGLA. Fun fact, the IGLA was conceived at the beginning of the 21st century as a hunting weapon. Specifically, it was engineered to hunt ducks. Really? Medium-sized waterfowl, somewhat similar to seagulls, now considered extinct. I love how it has to explain what ducks are. The Igla may have fared well against the ducks of Serbia's swamplands, but in 2077's Night City, this shotgun is considered an antique that not even the city's poor and desperate are willing to resort to. Many complain that it produces more noise than damage. The Dara Polytechnic DS1 Pulsar. You've got to hand it to the designers at Dara. They don't shy away from a little experimentation. The Pulsar looks as if someone first dismantled your typical machine gun, then had a blindfolded kindergartner mash it back together. I love that description. And yet, there's a method to the madness. Thanks to Dara's unconventional approach, the Pulsar is smaller than most guns of its kind, making it easier to conceal. Unfortunately, originality comes at a price. For all its design flair, the gun's got a killer kickback and is notoriously hard to handle. The quality of its parts also leaves much to be desired. In short, Pulsar is a semi-failed experiment, but for some, its low price point makes up for its flaws. You can most often find the Pulsar a weapon of only resort in the slums, or tucked snugly in a rookie gangoon's holster. The Militech MK31 HMG. Look at that puppy. The MK31 heavy machine gun was engineered with two core functions in mind. 1. Mounting on armored vehicles. 2. Installing on defensive perimeters. In other word, singular, it was designed as a heavy hitter that was meant to be bolted down. No one inside Militech ever considered anyone could or would want to carry this massive gun anywhere, whether they were loaded with cyber or not. But as usual, it seems the human will found a way. The human will found a way? Wow. I'm telling you, the proofreading, the things that, like, it's one thing if you find a few things every now and then, but all throughout this playthrough, I found so many of these things, and it's just, wow. It seems the human will found a way. Oh, it seems the human will. My mistake. It seems the human will found a way. Okay. My bad. My apologies. I apologize. That was not grammatically incorrect. I just did not read it properly. So, but I know I found other places. I did find other places where things might not have been, like, just in this one article, like in other word. But anyway, my apologies, proofreaders. You were fine with this sentence. The MK31 HMG can sometimes be found cradled in the arms of heavily chromed solos and gangoons, as they're the only people capable of withstanding the powerful recoil. However, the MK31 cannot be reloaded easily by one person in combat situations, effectively making it a one-hit wonder. Still, this hasn't proved a major drawback for most. By the time its clips is emptied, there's typically no one left to shoot at anyway. The Kang Tao L69 Zuo. Shotguns aren't exactly known for... Look at how many, look at this thing. Goodness gravy. Shotguns aren't exactly known for finesse. While undoubtedly powerful, they often suffer from clunkiness and imprecision. That is, except for the L69 Zuo by Kang Tao. Just like the other weapons manufactured by the Chinese Corp, the L69 Zuo comes packed with top-of-the-line electronics. The ultra-sensitive radar scans the area for you, identifying targets all on its own, and one of the 8 bullets in its below-barrel magazine is always ready and waiting to tear someone to shreds. Jeez. Constitutional Arms Unity. Unity is often... Oh, I know this. The Unity, I get many of these. Unity is often sought after, but difficult to achieve. After all, Night City is a city of individualists, anarchists, and warring gangs. In order to unite under a shared banner, you'll need a persuasive argument, preferably cast from lead. The designers of Constitutional Arms responsible for the Unity understood this well. This universal and expensive pistol has resolved countless conflicts and put a stop to disputes. Dissatisfied customers, betrayed spouses, impatient drivers stuck in traffic. Chances are they'll pull out a Unity. One well-aimed shot and you've won the argument forever. And last but not least, the Arasaka Tamayora. One of the oldest weapons made by Arasaka from the early 2000s. These days, it's a rare sight on the street, as it's a pistol that no point in sugarcoating it, outdated and difficult to maintain. Spare parts for it are no longer manufactured, and it's no longer compatible with most standard weapon mods. That being said, it should be held up to someone's head and have its trigger. That being said, should it be held up to someone's head and have its trigger, is pulled, the end result will still be as conclusive as with any modern firearm. So, I think that's it for now, guys. Thanks for helping me read through all of this lore. And we will continue with the gameplay in the next video.